miscarriage story. And if you're clicking on this video, then that means that that has happened to you. And I had a miscarriage at 16 weeks and 5 days, but before that, I'll take it back to the first one. In July of 2019, I had a miscarriage at 6 weeks, 5 days. I didn't know, I wasn't expecting to be pregnant. We weren't trying at the time. Still hard to deal with a miscarriage. I need to back it up further. I have 2 children already. I have 2 kids. My daughter is 16 and my son is 12. And both I had perfectly fine pregnancies, deliveries, everything. They were good weights when they were born. Nothing wrong at all, ever. Fast forward now, I'm much older, obviously, I'm 35. So July of 2019, I got pregnant unexpectedly. We weren't trying, but we weren't preventing. So I got pregnant and we had a miscarriage at 6 weeks, 5 days. And when you've had pregnancies before that are fine, like, I never thought in my life that that would ever happen. Okay, these are going to be emotional, so if I cry, I'm sorry. So we decided to try again, obviously. Hold on. Suck it up. Okay, so obviously we decided to try again. Even though we weren't trying, we were going to try now. I went to my OB. She said, just wait 1 cycle and you can start trying again. So that's what I did. I waited a cycle and we started trying. It took us 3 months. Well, if you don't count the first cycle, it took us 2 months, 2 cycles to get pregnant. And of course, when we got pregnant, it was right before we were going to Disney. I got pregnant in October. So I had the miscarriage in July of 2019, July 24th. And then I got pregnant on October 24th of same year, 2019. Okay, and so we were going to Disney in the beginning of November. I live in New Jersey, so we went for Jersey Week because it was the first year that my kids ever had off the whole entire week. So we were going to go to Disney. We're in Disney. I find out that I'm pregnant, which how it doesn't get any better than that. You're in the happiest place on earth and you find out that you're pregnant after having a loss. I call my OB right away to see if there's anything differently I should do, but I'm in Disney, so like, what can I really do? I didn't go on any rides once I found out, and obviously I didn't drink or anything, so we get back, go to the OB, everything's fine. We go to our 7-week appointment. The baby's measuring perfectly fine. At this point, like, I'd only had 1 miscarriage, so she didn't do anything extra. Like, there was no extra blood work, there was no extra visits, there wasn't like, take a baby aspirin and this will help next time, like, nothing. There was nothing extra that I got, which is normal for only having 1 miscarriage and it being an early miscarriage. So now it's probably like, by the time I was like 13 weeks, I think, I went to the doctor, and we found out what we were having. We named our baby, and then we went to the doctor when we were like 13 weeks, 13 and a couple days. They do the over the belly little baby Doppler thing and couldn't find a heartbeat. So of course, now this whole time I have not heard the baby's heartbeat at all. I didn't hear it at the 7-week appointment. They only measured it. She didn't even tell me like the beats per minute, nothing. She didn't tell me anything. So she gets the ultrasound machine and she does the ultrasound. We see her, and we see her moving. We see her little flicker of the heartbeat on the monitor. So we think everything is okay. Now, I've already had 2 children. I've already had 2 pregnancies. So like, I kind of can tell earlier when I feel the baby move. So I believe around that time, like around 13 weeks, I started feeling her move. And then it was like different. It was just like, it was moving. Like I felt her move after the 13 weeks, but it was more of like just rolling. And you don't really feel that when it's that early. You know, it's not like, you don't feel the baby like roll or like push up against your skin like that when they're that little. So fast forward 2 weeks. So now I'm 16 weeks. And it was February 3rd. And I was like spotting a little bit, but it wasn't red. It was just, no. So back up, that Wednesday. So January something. I'm spotting a little bit. It's like light brown. Sorry, TMI, but if you're clicking on this video, you should expect that. It was like a Wednesday. I was spotting a little bit, and it happened like overnight, and then it continued overnight. I had like slight cramping, but your uterus is growing, you know, so like, and I've had a miscarriage before, so I'm not thinking like maybe I'm having a miscarriage. Like I wasn't thinking that at all, because I was in the 2nd trimester, and you consider yourself safe after you make it to a certain point. And I was there because I was 16 weeks, so like I thought that I was okay. And the spotting went away. It was only like light brown, that's it, and then it went away. Now, fast forward to the weekend. And then it happened again. And me being the anxiety-filled person that I am, I was like, let's just go to the hospital. If, you know, that's what insurance is for, let's go to the hospital and just check and see if everything's okay, because I have this feeling, you know, and I want to be wrong, but I just have a feeling that something's not right. So still, I was still spotting very tiny, very, very tiny, and then cramping a little bit. So we go to the hospital on Sunday night, on February 3rd, and they do an ultrasound, and while we were in the ultrasound, I even thought everything was okay, because she was like, oh, I'm sorry, it's hard to do this. She turned the volume down so I couldn't hear the heartbeat, obviously, because there wasn't one. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's, you know, they move around so much. And I literally said out loud, oh, well, if she's moving, that's a good thing. And we went back to our room, and it's still, like, I still felt like I felt her moving. And then the doctor came in and told us that the baby was only measuring at 14 weeks, and that she didn't have a heartbeat anymore. And hold on. I don't know why I did my makeup for this. Okay. So they said that she didn't have a heartbeat anymore. And I don't know what happened after that. I don't know what he said after that. I just cried because I knew something was wrong. And, you know, Nick was like, what? Like, so we were sent home. You know, my baby's dead inside me, and I'm sent home. And it was like a blur after that. We leave the hospital, we get home. I have to go see my OB the next day. So I go see my OB, and she's like, you know, you have these options. And, you know, you don't want to hear what the options are, because you know they're going to suck either way. And they did, you know. So I could choose to have a D&C, or I can choose to do the pill thing where you miscarry at home. And with my first miscarriage, I literally sat in the waiting room of the hospital for 4 hours and miscarried in the waiting room, and it was the worst pain I ever felt in my life. And I've had 2 children, so I was like, no, not doing that. And I was like, do I have to be awake for a D&C? And she was like, absolutely not. So I had to call a hospital that specialized in this, or a doctor that works out of a hospital up north from where I live. So that's February 4th. I feel like I'm off a day or so, but if Sunday was the 3rd, I don't know. Anyway, so I got the number to call the doctor, and they couldn't. Now, this was Monday. I was at the doctor on Monday, and I was told to call this doctor, and she didn't have an appointment to do this procedure until Friday. So, me on Monday, my baby has not been alive inside of me for 2 weeks already, and I have to wait until Friday to have this done. This is crazy, So I schedule all my things because what else am I gonna do, I already know how much it sucks to have a miscarriage, and my baby's a lot bigger now, and I've given birth before, so I know what this entails. But I didn't think that I would give birth. When you're having a miscarriage, you don't think that that is what happens. So I make all the appointments. The next day comes, nothing happens, obviously. And then the next morning, the morning of the 5th, I probably missed a day in there. I don't know. So the morning of the 5th, I get my son up for school. My daughter gets up on her own. She goes to school. My son gets up. It's about 7. We get him up at 7. And I'm like, ooh, I'm crampy. This is so weird. Why am I crampy? And then it went away. And then it came back and went away and came back. And I'm like, I think I'm in labor. This is so weird. What is happening? And so my son goes to the bus at 7:30. So within that half hour, I was back and forth having cramping, and and they just got significantly worse. And my boyfriend was supposed to go to work, and he usually leaves at 8 o'clock. So we're sitting there after Nicholas went on the bus, and I felt like a gush. Thankfully, I had because I was spotting, I had a pad on, so I felt a gush, and I was like, oh no. I went to the bathroom, and there was nothing there. It was just all clear. So I was I came back out to the living room, and I was like, I think my water just broke. And he just looked at me he had no idea what to do. And I was like, I think we need to try to go to the hospital. And me meaning the hospital that's an hour away from my house. So I don't know what I was thinking when I did that. I don't know what I was thinking, because that's where I was supposed to have the procedure done. I was thinking, if I go there, I'll just have the procedure done, and then I could have this be over with. And because once you find out that your baby's not alive, you just want it to be over with, and you want to be able to mourn and do all that stuff after. You just want it done. So we get in the car, and I don't even think I got dressed. I was literally wearing my pajamas, and I don't even think I put shoes on. So we start going up the parkway to the hospital, and more stuff was just gushing out of me, and then it felt like clumps of stuff was coming out of me. So I was like, we were passing an exit that was right near one of our hospitals, the hospital that I had the first miscarriage at, that I swore I would never go to again, but I had to because I had no other choice. So we get into the waiting room, and the rest of this is what happened and how everything came out. So if you don't want to hear any of that, just stop watching now. So after I get into a wheelchair, he brings me in, goes to park his car, and they're asking me all sorts of stupid questions, just bring me back there because I literally have stuff gushing out of me. I fill out whatever I need to fill out, and they bring me back to this private room in the emergency room, and I think I laid on the bed, but I'm still fully dressed, and I just felt like something that wasn't like a little clump come out, and I'm like, I think the baby just came out, and because I was obviously like, I'm in excruciating pain at this point, like contractions like on fire, like terrible pain, and every time it would get really bad, obviously something would come out, and I didn't want to look to see what was coming out. I was literally covered in blood from my waist down. My favorite white pants were ruined, which obviously I don't care, but so I had the doctor and the nurse met me in there. The nurse was really great, and the doctor just looked horrified at what was happening. So they take my pants off, and they take the baby, and they put her into like a basin, and they like flip a bedpan over and have me like sit like raised up on a bedpan, and they like went in with like forceps things and got out whatever else they could, and then I was still in like really, really excruciating pain, and so I'm in pain. They give me stuff for pain. It doesn't help. I'm like bleeding like crazy. Just clots are coming out of me. It was crazy. Now this was like, by this time it was like 9 o'clock in the morning. So timestamp first, it started at 7. So now like by the time the baby came out, it was only like an hour and a half. And then so after that it was I went to ultrasound to see like if I had to still get a D&C done. And the ultrasound tech was like really amazing. The poor thing, she was like crying with me. So when the doctor came back in, he said that there was still like a lot left in my inside of me. But he was discharging me because my doctor wanted me to go to a different hospital. So I didn't have pants. So they had to like makeshift pants for me to leave the hospital. And my doctor wanted me to go straight to her office, and I had to stop at my house because my daughter didn't bring her key, so and she was coming home from school soon, so about this time it was probably like 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that, because she gets home at 1:50. So we stopped and opened the door for her, or left a key. I don't even remember what we did, and then we were making our way down to the hospital, or my doctor's office. My doctor's office is right across from the hospital that she wanted me to go to. So, sorry, if I'm looking all over the place, I'm thinking, and I can't, I'm trying to like figure out what I'm saying next. So the next, when we're in my driveway, I call her office, and I was in such pain still like excruciating pain. And if anyone has had a baby, you would think that stops right after the baby's born, right? You don't feel the contractions or anything that anymore. It's just everything is hearts and flowers after that, and everything goes back to normal. And it wasn't like that. So I was still in like excruciating pain, and I was like, she has a couple steps to go into her office, and I was like, I don't even think I can lift my legs to go into your office. Like, I'm in such pain, so I have to go right to the emergency room. They say, okay, I go right to the emergency room. Again, Nick gets a wheelchair for me, wheels me in, parks the car. I don't even know if he parked the car. I feel like he was there the whole time, but I was in such pain, I had no idea. I go in, and they do my intake again. Thankfully, I was able to like talk through this and tell them what was happening, but because I was going into another emergency room, I had to like retell everything that happened, say that I had a miscarriage, and then the doctor wanted to like do an internal. I'm like, no, you're not doing that. So I get into a bed, and I think they helped me like take my pants off again, and like they put a pad on the bed, and all that fun stuff. I get into a gown, all that, and I sit on the bed and the nurse comes in and starts asking me everything. He can see that I'm in such pain. And all this time, so at the first hospital, they had given me like 3 bags of fluid. So I had to pee like super bad, and it was like causing my pain to be worse. So he was like, you know, I can see that you're in pain, and I told him like I really have to pee, but like they tried to put me on a bedpan, I couldn't do it because that's weird. So like I really have to pee. So he was like, I'll get you a bedside commode. We'll put it next to the bed. That way you don't have to walk, and you can just like sit and then get back into the bed. So I'm like, okay. And he's like, I'm gonna help you. I'm like, no, thank you. Like, can I have a female, please? And normally I'm not like that, but like this dude was like the same age as me. No, you're not seeing me naked. Thank you. So, and of course they send in this poor little girl who probably has never seen anything like this in her life, and she's like an aide, and she helps me get onto the commode, and instantly when I sat down, like a lot of stuff came out of me, like a lot. And I was dead serious, and I was like, I think my uterus just fell out. It didn't, but it felt like it. So all of that stuff came out, and I like instantly felt better. They did a biopsy on it, so, and like after that, everything was fine. I had another ultrasound, and everything was gone. There was only like a little bit left, and they said that was like fine, you know, I can still go home and I'll get checked the next day. So I think all of this stuff came out at probably like 2 o'clock. So from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock, I still had the placenta inside of me after the baby came out all that time. So it was making me sick, really. So after that, everything went back to normal. The pain had stopped, thank God. I did request for them to do fetal testing on the baby at the one hospital, which they did not. They said that it was compromised. I guess they didn't handle it properly, and I could not get anything done on her. So we'll never know really like what happened with that. The second hospital did a biopsy on like the huge clot that came out and the placenta, which came back normal. So I was also severely anemic in this pregnancy, so even with taking iron. But why I wanted to make this video was because first to tell my story and to tell you what happened after all of this, you know, terrible things happened to me. That happened at the beginning of February 5th. Recovery wasn't terrible. I feel like I bled for the whole month. I don't even know. I don't even remember. It was such a blur after that. But at the end of the month, February 28th, that whole week before the 28th, I was seriously sick. I was throwing up every day. I threw up for like 10 days in a row, so I went back to the hospital. Because my OB said like it can't be related to your pregnancy, take a pregnancy test. I did, it came out negative, and so I got hospitalized because of my anemia, because I was throwing up, and the hematologist that worked at the hospital was so wonderful. He sent me for all sorts of blood work, and I found out that I have celiac disease and Sorry, my video cut off because someone was calling me. I ended up having celiac disease and anti-something. It's a blood clot disorder. It's called APS. So we got some kind of answers, you know, so I had called now just recently. Last month, I had told my doctor about all of this, and I did find out that I will have to see a high-risk doctor if I am going to have a baby again, or try to have a baby again. And I have to be on a strict gluten-free diet because of the celiac disease, and which is crazy. It's so crazy that like something like that was like the reason I lost my baby. And I ended up I gained like 13 pounds since going gluten-free. And with the blood clot disorder, I will have to take a baby aspirin and I forget what the other thing was called, heparin, and like do injections into my stomach. So I will have to do that kind of stuff to have a healthy pregnancy again, which is super scary because it's not guaranteed. And so if any of that has happened to you, like, advocate for yourself and get blood work done. They did like all the chromosomal testing on me and on Nick. That all came back normal. A lot of people say like to get your progesterone levels checked, get tested for like blood clot disorders, or that MTFR, I think it's called. It's where your body doesn't break down folic acid. So I actually switched my prenatal to a because I have to I'm going to keep taking them. I switched it to it doesn't have folic acid in it, it has folate. So I picked one that had folate in it instead, and like a more natural one that obviously has to be gluten-free. And what else? I feel like there was more I wanted to tell you. If anyone's going through this, like, leave a comment, because like I totally know how it feels. It's terrible, and I'm so sorry for anyone that has had to go through this, you know, especially after like finding out what your baby is and, you know, naming them. We had a crib up and had to take it down, you know, it was really hard. And like since then, like, everyone on my Facebook is having babies. My best friend had a baby, and I feel like I haven't even reached out to her because it's just so hard. But I'm trying not to be a terrible friend, you know, and talk to her. But just know that like everything you're feeling is totally normal, and it does suck, but like we can try again because that's what we're made to do, right? We're made to we're able to have babies and get through this. What our body does is like amazing. So I do plan on filming my trying to conceive journey because, like I said, I don't see videos like that after people had late miscarriages. So I feel like that's something that like people would want to see, you know. I can't say that I haven't started filming, because I might have. Just kidding. I feel like I would just like obsess over it, you know, now that I've had a miscarriage too. But I feel like I just like obsess over testing, or, you know, taking pregnancy tests. It's crazy. I'm rambling now, so I think I should stop this video. If you're interested in seeing my trying to conceive journey after a miscarriage, leave a comment below and comment if you've been through it yourself. And I'm sending you hugs and baby dust and all that. So I will see you in the next one.